Okay, so this is my first test of this Ustream video tool for recording video that I hopefully will be able to then send out to viewers. What I'm going to talk about is some of the things that I've written in my blog, which has the name Failed State Latvia, and it is about the latest statistics that show that there's been a 50% increase last year in emigration from Latvia. And what I think is behind this is that people realize that they have a choice of governance and of social environment, not only the free movement of people and individuals for such reasons as studies or to work temporarily abroad, but that they literally can change the environment and the type of governance under which they live. And in Latvia, governance and the social environment have been rather poor. The social environment is deteriorating. One sees examples of social degeneracy in the street constantly, drunks, strange people hanging around. The atmosphere is that of an American ghetto where the desperate, the despondent, the hopeless, the psychologically imbalanced sort of all seem to gather in one place. Which is not to say there aren't, nice young people, even the occasionally smiling person on the street here, but in generally it is a pretty depressing kind of scene in Latvia. You don't feel that there is much hope. You don't feel that there's very much optimism about the future, and not without reason, because I would say the problem here is that we have a completely unresponsive political elite that brought about the worsening of the crisis, or a worse impact of the global economic crisis than was necessary. Had we anticipated it, had we saved, had we put aside funds for necessary measures, it wouldn't have happened as badly as it has. The way things look now, we are facing bankruptcy of the Latvian government, bankruptcy of public services uh, within a couple of months, by the middle of the summer. And that means there will be inadequate police. The educational system is likely to fall apart. Salaries for public service employees will be cut by as much as 40%, reducing these people to penury, and basically leading to a disintegration of police and security services and medical services, and many people making the perfectly logical choice to get the hell out of here. And nobody should blame them. After that, I think what will happen in the summer, we'll have a devaluation of the Latvian currency, the lat. That could fall by 25 or 30%, maybe more, giving a temporary boost to exports, but probably not solving most of the country's problems, and in fact making certain problems very much worse, especially for those who have borrowed and have mortgages in euro. This will hit Sweden and Swedish banks very hard. There are some estimates that say that a considerable part of the Swedish gross domestic product could even be affected by the large-scale insolvency of borrowers and mortgage borrowers in Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia, which would sort of be dragged along into this process. And we may even have a situation where Swedish banks or the Swedish government is forced to nationalize these subsidiaries in Latvia and then spin off the bad assets into the so-called bad bank or asset management company, which would then try to hold on and manage these assets until such a time as either the occupants of these houses and apartments were able to start paying their loans again, keeping them as tenants at some kind of form of rent up until that time, or until a market developed for these properties. But the price that anyone could get for Latvian apartments and Latvian housing over the next 3 to 5 years, or maybe even longer, is going to be very low. So a lot of local banks, subsidiaries of Swedish banks, are going to be stuck with a lot of unsellable housing if they decide to foreclose on their bad loans and become owners of these properties. And this is not the business of banks, maybe the business of an asset management company, but even that one will have a far tougher time than the bad bank or asset management entities that were created in Sweden in the early 1990s, when there was also a severe banking crisis there. So all in all, I would say the situation here is rather grim, and everyone, I think, even yours truly, is thinking of a plan B, and that plan B probably involves finding a way out of here to a place where there is a future for one's children, where there is a likelihood that one will be paid some sort of a pension. I am not, in the flower of youth anymore. And where there is a likelihood that one can find some kind of work that is satisfying and interesting to do, which with certain knowledge of languages and such shouldn't be a problem. Well, it's still something on the back burner, but I think everyone in Latvia who has the ability and the qualifications for moving on out of here should at least seriously think about it, because, what else is there to do?